rolling? Guys ready to go? All right, Coach will start with the opening statement, and then we'll ask you guys to raise your hand, and I'll call on you for questions.
We're back at it. Good start today with prep, and got a tough opponent coming in. Utah State. First of all, just a ton of respect for Bronco Mendenhall. He's a guy that has actually been a mentor to me over the years and a friend, and particularly in the early stages of building this program, was a guy that I got in touch with to learn. You know, he's been a program builder over his time, and also a guy who has a quiet intensity about him, and teams always play a certain way, and I've always admired him and what he does, and now we get to compete against him. So this is a team that is good. They're challenging. One of his signatures has been win through differentiation, and you see that all over the film offensively, multiple formations, really strong quarterback play, unique run concepts, and some of the things that are similar to what we do that way. We watched this morning as a team, their 40-plus yard plays from the season, and so many of those plays are about a defense that's confused. We don't have a half-field player. We don't have a fitter. We're going to have to be really detailed and disciplined defensively. Their defense, it's about their pressures. It's about how hard they play. They're physical. And we're gonna have our work cut out for us in the front. We need to win at the line of scrimmage. That's going to be a priority. We need to make sure that we're ready to go when the ball's put down. 11:45 a.m. kick, so first morning game of the season, which is a favorite time for me in terms of just getting going first things in the morning with the game, but want to make sure that our energy systems are optimized and we're ready to play, and will be a tough competitive game. Happy to answer any questions.
There's some talk of potential look ahead. Jordan Matthews said that he didn't even know you guys played Alabama next week. Is that kind of a microcosm of how you want him to think? Like, you want him to go 1-0 and focus on kind of each day of preparation this week rather than looking ahead?
Well, some of the externals that come up as we go through the season are a product of the narratives that get built out around the season. I mean, the truth is we've never been a group that looks out ahead at any point in the year, So when we're in January and we're in formation, we are all the way in formation, and we're attacking what's in front of us, and that's how we live our lives in this program. So I haven't really talked any about it because I don't need to. These guys are focused, and they have a ton of respect each week for each opponent, and what that means to us when we respect the opponents, we got to put all of our effort into the preparation so that we can play at our best. That's what we owe this week, Utah State, and that's what we'll do. So there's no attempt here at anything. It's just we are the program that we are, and we're being the program that we are, and that's not something that we tap into in the season. That's something that we commit to the entirety of the year.
Utah State, their offense, they lean more towards the rushing, but when they do pass, they're one of the most efficient passing units in the country. So what do you think the key is to slowing down their passing game this week?
Yeah, I mean, it starts with, having a plan and a structure against the run. And when you can get them off schedule and force them into a passing game that they don't want to play in, you have a chance to put pressure on them, pressure the quarterback, get them to third and throws. Those are going to be areas where you have the chance to take the upper hand in the matchup. If you're on your heels on first and second down and they're creating space in that run game with their formations, motions, and the unique schemes they use, then that's going to allow them to set up kind of shots off those schemes. And that's where you see on film a lot of defenses get wayward. They're chasing the motion. They're not lined up to the unbalanced set. So they're chasing the play down, and the ball gets up and over the top. And so beyond that, I mean, you see a lot of empty, so 5 out. They're creating space and time for the quarterback. At some point, it's picking and choosing your moments to challenge that space. But I still think the key here is going to be how we defend the run. and how we defend the perimeter, because I think part of that run game is going to become the alleys and then also kind of the throws out. And, I felt like we took on some water last week when the ball got sprayed out in the perimeter. So we need to be stronger out there. And that's where we kind of started our focus today.
Henry?
Yeah, it seems like Utah State's quarterback can run the ball as well, but you guys have fared quite well against mobile quarterbacks this year. What do you see in him as a guy, and sort of how have you guys best prepared to defend against a mobile quarterback?
He's a little different. There's designed run for him. I think sometimes when you think of a mobile quarterback, you think of like a zone read play where they're pulling the ball out on the end, and there's some of that, but you see gap scheme designed for him, so we call them like box splitter runs, where you got a jet motion and action going one way and you got pullers going the other, and you got to make sure you got 11 guys defend it. It's really challenging. In particular in the Air Force game, there were a couple times where on these gap scheme plays he's running untouched, and they're creating space for him. So to me, the starting point there is going to be, are we aligned to the formation? Are our eyes where they need to be? And post snap, are we reacting to the things that we need to see to get our numbers right? It becomes it's like a defense becomes a math equation at that point. If we have our numbers in the right place, then we have a chance to leverage the ball and down the ball. If you don't, he's going to make life miserable for you, and that's part of their design. That's what makes them so effective. And he's a good player. He knows how to extend plays too. This also happens in passing downs. Also, if you create space for him in the pocket, he'll find his way through, and that could end up in a puncture run, or that could end up in the ball going up and over the top, which happens also. So that's kind of who they are, and he makes it go, and he's been really efficient and effective. And it's going to take. It's not about one-on-ones. It's about 11 guys doing their job and leveraging the ball the right way.
Aria at the top.
Yeah, you'll be facing Nick Howell. Obviously, was here for a while. What does it feel like to reunite and play against him after he was, obviously on your staff?
Yeah, well, first of all, also too, his son's on the team, Dakota, who was in high school at the time and around our program, and it's always neat, the world of college athletics, the world of college football is so small that when you cross paths with people that have been a part of your past, it's meaningful. And obviously on Saturday, Nick's a competitor, and so it's going to be less about kind of reminiscing and more about two teams that are trying for the same objective. We want the same result. So, but it'll be good to see him and Dakota and reconnect with their family. And I got a ton of respect for Nick, and I appreciate all his contributions here. And I've been excited for him beyond his time here to keep at it in his career, and obviously doing a great job back with Broncos. So all good things. Saturday he's a competitor, but I always have a respect and appreciation for him.
Clark, obviously you're in the midst of season mode, but have you had a moment since that atmosphere Saturday night in that stadium? You had a taste of it in the opener, but to look around and appreciate, you played in some games where, non-conference games, I'm thinking, where the attendance was less than sparse at times. To see where it is now, knowing where you hope to get it, do you take a moment and just kind of appreciate where you are at the moment in this program?
It's yes. I think it's just like you said, you're in season mode, so you're not really. I guess what as a competitor, what you want is just more and more and more. You want to have it be something that becomes the standard, the expectation, and I'm excited to get back out there. It's again a morning kick. I want to see that stadium full. I want our students. We need our students to show up. They set a tone for us a year ago, and I can't underscore this enough. Our student body showing up means the world to our team. And in games a season ago where it was 80% the opponent fans, that student section was filled out and cheering hard. And so they have to set a tone in that stadium. And then, we have just really appreciated the support our community's shown, the Nashville community and the Vanderbilt community. And so, we want to see that sustained, and we are enjoying it. And to see it sustained and to enjoy it further means that we are focused on the football that's being played on that field. That's the control we have, and for me personally, and I think kind of what you're alluding to is, to look up and see a full stadium in a non-conference game, and it's black and gold, and it's people that are passionate about what we're doing. It means a lot to me. Now, go back a few years ago, and we didn't have that, obviously, and we were still hard at work building something. So we're very careful not to kind of offload our energy onto the opinion of other people. We don't need that. What we need is just continued investment and focus here internally on what we're doing and what's in front of us. And we know that anything external is a manifestation of that investment. So that's where our focus is. We are enjoying the fact that people are paying attention to what we're doing, and the goal would be to keep, putting a product out there that inspires people to keep coming out and make this an expectation.
Joey?
You guys, the defensive numbers you guys have had have obviously been impressive. In your mind, as a defensive guy, how much of that is you guys adding dynamic players, and how much of it is guys coming back and knowing the scheme and they're able to fly around because they're familiar with what you guys do?
Well, it's a player's game. So we have good players, and some of those players we've, developed within our system. You think about guys like Langston Patterson and Nick Rinaldi, Linus Zonk, Miles Capers, I could go on and on here. Bryce Cowan, Brian Longwell. These are guys that have been around Marlon Sewell. They've been in our program and developed here, and maybe a few years ago they were young and inexperienced, but they were on our field playing. So there's some growing pains that you deal with when you're developing people while they're playing, but we are the beneficiary of that investment now. We've added players from the portal that both fit our program but also elevate our performance on the field, and that's really exciting too. So it's a player's game, and when you have good players, you have a chance. I think second year in a system, and the system being sound, solid, and simple. We don't want to try to reinvent the wheel. We want to make sure that we're, a master teacher makes hard things simple. And we want these guys to be able to play to their instincts. And so they've banked repetition. There's more anticipation and understanding and awareness. And the game becomes, can you get to your technique faster than the opponent? And that's what they're doing. So it's a combination of both, but the credit's always going to go to the player, because those guys are out there playing hard, making plays, and it's their understanding and their investment that's showing up in our performance.
What's been the key to developing depth? You guys seem to have it just about everywhere, to where when your other guys come in, there's not a huge drop off. Has that been, evaluations have gotten better as you've been here? And particularly that question at corner, where Martell, I don't think, has been on the field for half your defensive snaps because you've had other guys who've stepped up.
Yeah, I credit our personnel operation, Barton and his crew, Nick Valdesari, Kendall Lawson. Those guys, I think, have done. The hit rate and the hit rate, both in terms of the playmaking ability, but also the fit within our program, has been remarkable. And so we've been able to build out depth by adding players, but also developing players. It's the same conversation a little bit. Again, you talk about like, for example, our running back room, and you think about guys like Seti Alexander and AJ Newberry, guys that have kind of come up through our program, and then you add MK to that mix, and you've got, and then James L. Lassiter is coming on, right? And James L. is a guy that walked onto our program and has become really a featured playmaker. He's been as productive per snap as I think probably anybody in the country. So it's that combination, where we've added players that are able to elevate the play on the field, but we've developed players that that are kind of finding their rhythm and stepping into high performance. So that's all kind of part of the blueprint or the plan. You talked about Martell. Again, you look at the corner room and you think we added some pieces a year ago that we weren't able to get to the field. Mark Davis and Marlon Jones. Well, those guys being healthy now, and you got Jalen Lackey and you got Jordan Matthews, who we added, and Colby Taylor, who's really come into consistency here and been really impressed with how he's handled himself. There are snaps to spread around, and to do this effectively, you better have an unselfish team. I mean, you better have a team that can pull for one another and can celebrate one another because, ultimately what we're doing is we're sharing snaps. And to the team's credit, I mean, they have put the team first. They put the mission first, and what that's allowed us to do is take snaps off guys, which hopefully keeps us fresher and allows us to sustain. So you go last week's game, and I know we played kind of that first offense, the first drive of the second half, and then I don't know specifically, but guys like Diego and Eli and some of those guys, they were steady. They were off the field, and we did the same on defense as the game went on. And I can only think that that's going to have a huge benefit to us as we go through the middle portion of the season, and that we can maintain performance and continue to be a fresh team as the year wears on.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Teresa, good to see you, buddy. How you doing?